3 children sat in a lawyer's office for the reading of their father's will. 2 inherited an empire. The third heard his name once. In the exclusion clause, one sentence written by the man who had taught him everything. 11 years later, that erased name was on the deed to the entire company. A story about family loyalty, what a handshake builds, what a signature can destroy, and what happens when the wrong child gets written out. The names are changed. The pattern is real. Ask anyone whose family ever mixed love with money. 1962. Henry Kessler starts hauling storm-damaged lumber with a borrowed truck and selling it to builders. No contracts. His word, a handshake, and delivery on the promised day. Someone photographed his first deal. Henry nailed that picture above his office door. 3 children grew up between the stacks. Thomas, the firstborn, Diane, who loved the numbers, and David, the youngest, the one who loved the wood. Every summer, Henry took one child along on supplier visits. It was always David. Remember that detail. It will decide everything, twice. David learned the business the old way. Names, birthdays, which foreman drank, and which one prayed. In the 90s, he pushed Kessler lumber into treated decking and pre-cut framing. Margins this family had never seen. Revenue triples. 2 new yards open. On paper, Thomas runs operations. In every phone call that matters, it is David. The suppliers had a saying, you shake Henry's hand, or you talk to David. Everyone else is furniture. Diane kept the books, and the books kept score. She saw whose ideas made the money, and whose name sat on the door. Henry aged the way oaks fall, slowly, then all at once. At 78, he handed daily control to Thomas, the firstborn. Tradition. David stayed. He ran the profitable half and told himself that titles were furniture too. Then Henry's third stroke took his speech. That same year, the family lawyer of 30 years retired, and a new firm took over the estate. Daru. 14 months before Henry died, a new will was drafted. David never learned about it. And nobody mentioned the second envelope. Not yet. To understand that will, you need to know what happened at the lake house the summer before. The family met to discuss succession. Thomas arrived with lawyers. David arrived with a business plan. The plan said, modernize or die, including closing the smallest yard. The first one. The one Henry built with his hands. By winter, the family story was that David wanted to dismantle his father's life's work while the old man was still breathing. Henry, wordless in his wheelchair, only ever heard one sigh. The new will was signed on a Tuesday, witnessed by 2 members of Thomas's golf club. David's name appeared exactly once, in the exclusion clause. Henry died in March. The reading took 11 minutes. David did not contest it. although his lawyer said he could win. He refused to drag his father's signature through a courtroom. He left with his tools, his contacts, and the one thing no will can transfer: the trust of every hand he'd ever shaken. 2 counties away, he started a small timber trading firm. Year 1, he broke even. Back home, Thomas celebrated his inheritance by renegotiating every supplier contract. Harder terms, slower payments, lawyers instead of handshakes. The old sawmill families remembered how Henry did business. This was not it. The defections were quiet. The best foreman left first. Then the oldest supplier stopped returning Thomas's calls and started returning David's. Diane saw it in the numbers first. She always did. She warned Thomas in writing: margins collapsing, credit lines strained, 2 yards running at a loss. The memo got filed away. Thomas doubled down instead. A flagship store, borrowed money, his own name over the entrance. The bank financing it asked for personal guarantees. He signed. And across 2 counties, David's little firm had just closed its 3rd record year in a row. The end came the way ends come. A missed payment, a called loan, then everything at once. Kessler Lumber, 61 years old, went into receivership on a gray Thursday in October. The bank scheduled an auction. The yards, the trucks, the equipment, and the name over the gate. Thomas did not attend. Diane did. So did a quiet man in the 3rd row, holding a numbered paddle and a folder with financing already approved. David bid on everything: the yards, the machines, the name. The gavel fell at a fraction of the empire's old worth. In the final round, nobody bid against him. Some things you don't take from a son. He signed the transfer papers with his father's old fountain pen. The deed named the buyer in full: David Henry Kessler. The name the will erased was back, on everything. Here's the uncomfortable part. The will was airtight. Henry signed it. Witnesses watched. Every formality was correct, and the outcome was still a lie. Because an inheritance is not a measure of love. It is a snapshot of who controlled the story on the day the pen moved. During the receivership, the second envelope surfaced. A letter Henry dictated to a nurse after the signing. 3 sentences. The last was an apology to David. Diane keeps the books again. For her younger brother now, Thomas sells insurance. At Christmas, they speak carefully. And the handshake photo from 1962 hangs above the office door. Again. David found it in a storage box someone had labeled junk. A reporter asked whether buying it all back was revenge. David gave the quietest answer in this story. Somebody had to keep the name alive. No lawsuit, No feud. He let a signature take everything, and a handshake win it back. Next time, a wife builds her husband into a millionaire. He trades her in for someone younger, and what she builds next ruins him.